All right.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. So I think we will get the meeting started, and Supervisor Saylor will join us when he's ready. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, seems like a yes. Okay, so once again, welcome to everyone, my fellow commissioners, and Taro, Charlie, Petria, all the staff. Apologize if I missed a name. I'm still landing. It is Monday. We are going to start by acknowledging that this meeting is happening remotely, and as such also is being recorded. And with your authorization, I am going to start with the roll call. It's okay. So Commissioner Reed.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Deta.
Present.
Commissioner Ullman.
Present.
Commissioner Kim.
Present.
Commissioner Serena.
Present.
Commissioner White.
Present.
Commissioner Austin.
Present.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Present.
Commissioner Bennett.
Present.
And Commissioner Britton.
Present.
Okay, and I'm Anne Bondo. I'm obviously there. Do we have our ex-officio member, Sarah Morgan, with us today?
Present.
Thank you for joining us. And is Matt Dulcis also in the room?
Yes, here.
Okay, thank you for being with us today. I don't have the full screen. I still do not see Supervisor Saylor. So, okay.
He's here.
I'm
I
here.
see him.
I'm here.
Hi.
I'm trying to hide though.
Dressed in red. You're not hiding in red. That's a power color.
You did such a good job hiding. Also, I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to use that as an excuse. Apologize for missing you. Great. So with that, we are going to move on to agenda item number 1, and Taro, I'll let you take over if it's okay. Thank you.
Yes, this item again is our usual item. It is to authorize the remote meetings by finding pursuant to Assembly Bill 361 that local officials continue to recommend measures to promote social distancing as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, staff recommends that the commission make the following findings. The Yolo Climate Action Commission has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency proclaimed for the COVID-19 pandemic, and that local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussions on the motion? No? Okay, so we are going to vote on it. Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Deta.
Aye.
Commissioner Ullman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kim.
Aye.
Commissioner Serena.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Austin.
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So agenda
I would
item.
make a
Oh,
small
yes.
point. You didn't call my name, so I think we
Ooh.
can't call it unanimous just yet. I
So
vote aye.
hi, and that's really nice to hear your voice, Ken. So I need do you say that I need Taro to confirm. So the members at large, the commissioners at large, do they vote?
Yes, they can vote.
Okay, thank you. So I apologize for the oversight. Commissioner Britton.
Aye.
Okay, and Commissioner Bennett.
We're good.
Aye.
Thank you. So let me try this again. The motion passes unanimously, and I won't forget the second time around. Thank you, everyone.
And I also, excuse me, I also wanted to clarify that when we were setting up the agenda, we wanted to introduce the 2 new members, and it wasn't clear to me exactly. We couldn't start the meeting without this this one action, and so it became awkward. But obviously we got through it, and we can move to the next item.
Okay, thank you, Taro. And I see that, let's see, I want to quickly check. So we have 2 members of the public. I welcome you as well. We are going to move to agenda item number 2. So basically, we are now welcoming our 2 newest commissioners. So Ken Britton and Commissioner Bennett, thank you so much for accepting to join the Yolo County Climate Action Commission. We appreciate your contribution to our community. And at the request of Commissioner, I think it was Commissioner Reed, I would like to invite us all to, now that we have a full commission, introduce each other. Let's say our name. If we were invited in the commission as expert on a specific subject, please share that as well. And if I may ask you, if you feel comfortable sharing, let's share something we're excited about in this coming week related to climate action or not. So I will get us started if it's okay. My name is NJ Mvondo, like New Jersey, which I'm not from. And I am the environmental justice lead on that. I do much community organizing, and as such work with many different groups promoting all types of causes, cultural diversity, ethnic studies. And I've been a climate activist since I was born due to my background, growing up both in Europe and Africa. Yolo County is where I've lived the longest. I'm going to ask Commissioner Serena if she'll please introduce herself. Thank you.
Coming off mute. Can you all hear me? Hi, everyone. My name's Adelita Serena. My pronouns are she, hers, and a Woodland resident for the last 20 years. And I am a longtime activist as well. I always want to reference, growing up, my father organized with Cesar Chavez. And so I took a lot of cues from that growing up, and, formerly with Empower Yolo. And Mothers Out Front, and now with the Sierra Club. And so I'm very excited to be able to serve here. I'm also cultural practitioner here in my community as the teacher of Calpulit Yolo, a traditional Aztec dance group that embraces traditional knowledge and seasonal changes. It's a foundation of how we live and continue to support our ecosystems. I'm a mother of 2, and both of my sons graduated from Woodland High, and I'm very proud to be a mom, and it's what drives me to serve in our community and protect our resources for our future generations.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Would you like to name the next person, please?
Sure, I will pass it over to Andrew.
Thank you, Adelita, and happy Monday, everybody. My name is Andrew, and I am, I guess one word, an entrepreneur here in Yolo County. Have been here the last 15 years. I've lived in Davis, lived in Winters, currently live in West Sacramento, and now live in Clarksburg as well. I'm very honored to serve on this commission. I also serve with Chris White on the West Sacramento Economic Development and Housing Commission, and also serve in the Sierra Club and the Yolo Climate Emergency Coalition and the Climate Center Central Valley cohort. I, on my off time, work with an sustainable ag company called Acela Biotech. We focus on microbial technology so that we can move more people into regenerative and organic farming practices. And I recent newly minted farm owner in Clarksburg, and hope to advance organic practices on my own farm as well. With that, I want to say thank you, Denise, from the Yolo Farm Bureau for joining us today. And with that, I will pass it to Robin Dadel.
So I'll just remind people that it's actually daddle, which rhymes with battle, cattle, or rattle, none of which is particularly flattering. I'm from the 2nd Supervisorial District. I'm a retired geography professor from Sacramento State. And I'm also the facilitator of the Climate Crisis Action Team for the Unitarian Universalist Church here in Yolo County. And I am absolutely thrilled to be working with all of you at the county level, a very meaningful earth-based spatial unit to fight climate change. And I'll hand it off to Mark.
Thanks, Robin. My name is Mark Allman. I've lived in Yolo County for it's my 8th decade in Yolo County. I'm a graduate of Woodland High School also and University of California. I serve on the Valley Clean Energy Community Advisory Committee, as well as I was past chair of the City of Woodland Sustainability Advisory Committee. I'm particularly interested in cross-jurisdictional alignment and to see where we can empower each other's mission. In the process of, since I've been on the commission here, I've had interaction with some of the members here, and it's been extremely gratifying. I think we should all pay heed to the fact that today the United Nations had a rather sobering announcement for the world, and hopefully we can all do our part to do something about that. And with that, I will hand off to Suzanne Reed.
Thank you, Mark. Excuse me. I'm a resident of West Sacramento, where I sit on the Parks, Recreation, and Intergenerational Services Commission. I am a retiree. I had most recently, after 14 years as a chief of staff in the California State Legislature. And academically, I'm an ecologist. I have a master's degree from the Yale School of Forestry, which is now the Yale School of the Environment, in Forestry and Environmental Studies. I currently, in addition to my climate activism, maintain the website, The Collaboration Connection, which is a collection of resources and links to climate action, advocacy, and funding resources for all sectors of the economy and society. And the Healthy Planet Action Coalition website, which is an international group of scientists, engineers, and advocates advancing global climate change policy. And I'm a co-founder of the Yolo Food Security Coalition, which Andrew also sits on. And very happy to be here and to be working with you all to address and be proactively engaged in climate change policy. Thanks. Let's see. Now I've lost track of who has and hasn't spoken. Chris White, have you spoken yet? Good. Go.
So Chris White, I'm the technical lead, and I work with a consulting company called Frontier Energy. We have offices in West Sacramento and Davis and other places. I particularly focus on electromobility and clean transportation, but I have the whole support of our company behind us. Our folks write building codes, they invent technology. So my job here is to kind of say, to help this group with what's near term, what's long term, how much things really cost. I'm actually had my first meeting today where I'm facilitating a group in Sacramento having to deal with their new electrification building ordinance. In addition to that, for 17 years, I owned a small business in West Sacramento. I am ridiculously involved in sitting in boards and volunteer groups, and twice a week I volunteer with the Yolo Food Bank. So, and I sit on the board of the Yolo Basin Foundation, but my real passions, in addition to climate change, are making sure that whatever we're doing is not a burden on folks and businesses that can barely afford to live now. So I want to make sure whatever we're doing makes sense to promote prosperity within our county. And I will pass it over to Bernadette, another West Sacramento people. I didn't realize how many of there are of us on this.
You're just a force to be reckoned with. I will say two things. One is I'm also a subject matter expert, so I'm not representing as far as the geography. You're just lucky that I get to live here, I guess. And the other thing is to our new commissioners, we were very, very impressed with you. So as we prattle off all of our involvement and accolades, just know that you are among peers. So we all think very highly of you. Bernadette Austin, I'm the executive director of the Center for Regional Change at UC Davis. And I believe that in that capacity, I'm bringing some knowledge around the intersection of community development and social equity. So hopefully I'm bringing that to the conversation. A little bit more about me. Similarly, I have a really strong interest in the social determinants of health and land use planning. So I'm an active member of the Urban Land Institute, the American Planning Association, and some key working groups within those two organizations, including the California Planning Roundtable, which is a think tank around land use planning. Let's see. I also serve on the advisory board for the Office of Health Equity for the California Department of Public Health, and I am also involved with community organizations. I sat on the Planning Commission for the City of West Sacramento for I think 7 years. I serve on the board of Girl Scouts serving 18 counties within our region. And I am also, this is my most proud one, I'm now West Sacramento's Cub Master. So very involved with youth organizations in the area. And I will turn it over to, so should I introduce everybody? So I see my colleague from UC Davis, Matt, that he's sort of ex officio. Does he introduce himself?
Yes, of course. Yes, please.
Wonderful. I'll pass it over to Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bernadette. Yes, I'm Matt Dulcich, and I'm the general representative from UC Davis, the ex officio member. I'm super happy to be here. My role at UC Davis, I am the director of environmental planning. So a lot of what I do is CEQA work. And then also I have a role as director of local government relations. So in that role, I've had an opportunity to participate in Yolo Bus, the YCTD effort, the Habitat Conservancy, and some of the other cross-jurisdictional items that happen in Yolo County. So I'm really happy to be here, and I do have a bit of a background in environmental issues, climate change planning, and greenhouse gas accounting. So great to be here, and I'll pass it to my ex officio colleague, I think, Sarah Morgan. Sarah.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, my name is Sarah Morgan. I am the ex officio representative of the Ochadihi-Wintu Nation, which is the tribe that's located in the Capay Valley of unincorporated Yolo County. My background is environmental science and policy. I am the natural resources manager in the tribe's environmental department. So in that role, I've been there 10 years. It covers a lot of different activities, but one of the focuses of the tribe has been sustainability in its operations, which includes agriculture, housing and community space, the Cache Creek Casino Resort, so business enterprises as well. And we've also been working on a climate change vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan. So excited for the opportunities for synergies and collaboration in all of the discussions within this group. And then on a personal note, I live in West Sacramento, so both professionally and personally, I'm representing Yolo County. So next I will hand it off to, how about Kenneth?
Hi, yes, thank you. And everyone, please, I go by Ken. Unless you're really mad at me, then call me Kenneth, that's fine. I find these introductions humbling. I am deeply honored to be here. This is a very high-powered group. I think we can do a lot of stuff, and it is an emergency. So I'm so pleased to be here. A little introduction. I live in west of Winters, right up against the hills, in the very southwest corner of the county. And I would say perhaps the biggest reason I'm here is because of awareness of climate change in the landscape where I live. That I've lived here for 20 some years, and I used to have, I just counted today, I used to have about 40 oaks on the property, and there are 8 that are solidly alive right now, a couple more hanging on by a thread. This is an iconic landscape of California, and it's being damaged by fire, and fire is being encouraged by climate change, and it's in my face, and it's happening now. I've always been interested in this stuff. I'm a natural history student. I'm a retired professor of neuroscience from UC Davis, retired in 2019. And I got into neuroscience mostly because of an interest in natural history and animal behavior. And so the nervous system just happens to be the thing that makes animals behave. That's what got me there. Did a long career there, and remain interested in all things in the natural world. I serve on the board of the Putah Creek Council, and I worked for over about a year on the winter's climate action plan, which needed finalization and rewriting and updating. And a small board of us did all that work. And it has now been, I'm pleased to say, approved by the town of Winters. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken. Commissioner Alvarez, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. Pelayo Alvarez, I work for Ottawa, California as director of the Conservation Ranching Program. My background is in animal science and ecology. I'm the climate subject expert, but specifically on climate change and agriculture. I believe that agriculture has a strong role to play in both climate change mitigation and adaptation, and that's the experience and the knowledge that I'm hoping to bring to this commission. Formerly with the Carbon Cycle Institute, and before that with the California Rangeland Conservation Coalition. My passion is to engage private landowners, farmers and ranchers in conservation issues. I live in Davis. I have 4 daughters, 2 dogs, a cat, and 5 chickens.
Thank you very much. And I think we have not yet heard from Commissioner Micah Bennett.
Hi, I'm Micah Bennett. I live in Rumsey, I live in the very northwest corner, so kind of opposite Ken, and have similar things to say about how honored I am to be part of the group. I have lived in Yolo County since 1969 with a few trips living elsewhere. In the early 2000s, I read about climate change in a Nature Conservancy publication, and they were talking about clean development mechanism. Basically, it made so much sense to me as something that seemed like it could benefit the climate, but also farmers and the environment, that I went back, excuse me, sorry. I went back to school, got a degree in international agricultural development. It seemed to me to be a place to start working on clean development mechanism. And I'm pretty disappointed in how that's all worked out. And with RED also, that it just seems like everybody kept fighting among themselves and were not able to realize the promises. But I managed to get to work for an organization that did environmental sustainability assessments, agricultural sustainability, and mostly in coffee and tea. So I got to spend a few years going and looking at farmers raising coffee. Coffee is raised in some of the nicest places in the world, wonderful climates, and also just phenomenal farmers that I got to meet. And we put together a list of indicators for environmental sustainability and tried to measure them. But I've always still kept my focus on what can help climate change until I retired to Rumsey. And there I'm part of the agricultural regeneration group that is just a grassroots group, but it's under the umbrella of Cape Valley Vision. I'm on the board of the Cache Creek Conservancy and also the Yolo County Fire Safe Council, since that's one of the places I've really run into our climate changes. For the 4 years I've lived in my house, I've evacuated 3 for fires. So I'm glad to be here and working on this.
Thank you again for joining us. I think I speak on behalf of the whole commission, and I hope on behalf of the staff. I believe in welcoming Commissioner Bennett and Commissioner Britton as our newest members. As a quick reminder, please, we are not going to use the chat. Since the meeting is recorded, the members of the public won't be able to see what's written. So I would like to invite Commissioner Serena to share the additional information she wanted the rest of the commission to know.
Apologies. No, it was
Okay.
just saying I was also part of the Yolo Climate Emergency Coalition and the Woodland Sustainability Advisory Committee. That's all.
Thank you. And also 2 last really quick bits of information that might interest the rest of the commission. I'm currently completing a year-long training. I'll be done in March with the National Alliance for Climate Resilience Planning, which I'm a part of, also member of NAACP, and also affiliated with the Yolo Climate Action Commission, which I removed myself in order to not break the Brown Act or not be at risk of doing it. If this is agreeable to my fellow commissioners, I would like to invite the staff to also please introduce yourselves so we know who we're working with. Is that okay? Thank you. So Taro, would you get started on the staff introductions, please?
I would be happy to lead. My name is Taro Echiburu. I am the director of the Department of Community Services for Yolo County. I oversee 4 divisions in this department, including the Division of Planning, Building, Public Works, Environmental Health, and the landfill. Been with the county now for about 7.5, almost 8 years. Came from City of Elk Grove, where I was the planning director for a number of years. I have a background in marine biology. That's my degree, originally from the South American country of Chile, and bounced around the world a little bit. Grew up in Scotland, and I've been in the US now longer than I have anywhere else. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Would you please name one member of your staff, maybe as going next? Thank you.
Charlie.
Thanks, Tara. Charlie Chuden. I'm a planner out of natural resources planner with the county administrator's office. I also wear a different hat. I am a planner with the Yolo Habitat Conservancy, so I apologize if I've confused anyone with a separate email. I go back and forth between the two. Originally from Sacramento, still live in Midtown, but I feel like I spent a solid portion of my life in Yolo County, but well, my entire professional life has been in Yolo County. I was first a city planner with the city of Winters before transitioning over to Yolo County about a year or so into that. But as a resident, climate change interests all of us. No one can get away from it. I think in terms of a planning sense, the idea of walkable communities and providing services to everyone within that realm, not being a car-centric space, is sort of what drew me to this as a field. And so I'm happy to be here. You want to pass it off to the consultant staff there, Taro, because I'll hand off to Petrea. So
yeah, I think that Petrea, go ahead and just maybe a quick intro there. As part of support for this effort, we have a consultant group, a joint venture between two firms, Consero Solutions and Farallon Strategies. And Petrea, go ahead.
Sure, I'll be very brief. Petrea Marchand, I'm the president of Consero Solutions, a public policy consulting firm in Davis. And prior to founding the firm, I worked for Yolo County for about 10 years. I'm also president of the board of directors of the National Alliance on Mental Illness for Yolo County. And there's almost no policy issue in Yolo County that at this point I haven't touched. So I'm really glad to be a part of this group as well. And I'll turn it over to Michael.
Thank you, Petrea. Michael McCormick. I'm the president of Farallon Strategies, South Davis resident, Yolo County. And we work on transformative climate solutions across California. And we have a number of clients in the US as well, focused on regional climate resilience initiatives and also Climate Corps national service solutions and capacity building initiatives for climate. Been working on climate change for 20 years and have probably authored 20 or 30 climate action plans at this point, along with a number of inventories all across the state. prior life was with the Governor's Office of Planning and Research and served a stint in the Obama White House supporting local land use and climate initiatives. And I'm joined by my team member, Christina Oreftik, who she's just monitoring this. She's going to be helping to co-lead the scope of work working group. So I wanted her to make sure she met all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did we miss any member of the staff or consultants?
Just briefly, I'll do the same for Jen McKenzie. She can say hi. She's with me at Kinsera Solutions, been working for the last 8 months on this project as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today. I have a master's degree in forestry and natural resource sciences, so I'm excited to see what this group's going to do.
Thank you. I appreciate you all being here. And Supervisor Saylor, I hope you didn't think you were going to escape.
I thought I was hiding very well, NJ. I'm just so impressed and pleased to see you all here, see the dedication and commitment and the deep perspective and experience that you bring as a group. So it's wonderful to hear. I've been a member of the Board of Supervisors since 2011. Jim Provenza and I have been champions for moving forward with this effort. And so, of course, the support comes from the entire board. I sort of started a journey as a planner in northeastern Wyoming in 1975 and was a member of the Powder River Basin Resource Council, which was a coalition of environmentalists and farmers working on the issues affecting shallow aquifers and fragile aquifers in a coal mining area. And from that led to the LBJ School of Public Affairs, then out to California to work in the legislature. 24 years later, I left California State Service and focused all my time on local government. I've been a school board member and a city council member and now a county supervisor. And I'm really excited about the work that you're all going to be doing and you already have done. So thanks for the chance to say hello.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have Richard Reed here. I just want to make sure I did not overlook anyone. And I thank you all again for your patience. Okay.
He is unmuted, but we cannot hear him.
Yes. Okay, the mic might not be working. So we cannot hear you. If you can hear us, and if you have any technical difficulty, no, the chat will be a good way to let us know. And that's the exception, I believe, to the use of chat.
Madam Chair, there's one staff member that I overlooked because I didn't see her face, but I see that she's online, and that is our Civic Spark intern fellow who is also supporting the work of this commission, and that's Julia Olson.
Thank you. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Tara, you found me.
Right.
Hi, yeah, I am a recent UCSD grad. Also, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a Sacramento resident. That's where I grew up. And yeah, I graduated from UCSD recently with a degree in psychology and environmental studies, and have been interning with Civic Spark, well, now Civic Well, since August. So I'm looking forward to working more with all of you.
Thank you, Julia. It's a pleasure to have you with us. So if it's okay with everyone, I will ask for public comment, just for reaction of members of the public if they have something they would like to share. As a reminder, after on most agenda items, we do ask for input from the public. We do not discuss the comments. We don't go back and forth with the members of the public on their comment because the items that they might share are not on the agenda. But we do need to ask for input. So member of the public, if you can hear me, if you like to react, now is a good time. And you have 2 minutes for each public comment. Okay, so I do not see any hands raised. So with that again, thank you all again for being here. And we are going to move on to agenda item number 3. I believe that you all received the minutes of last month's meeting. And I hope that, we all had a chance to review it.
Madam Chair,
Yes, there is
item
a-
3 is approval of the agenda.
Oops, so yes, thank you. Maybe I should put my glasses. What do you think? Okay, let me start over. And at some point I'll have my glasses on. I think that's gonna happen. Okay, so we have the agenda in front of us. Do you have any objection to the agenda as written? Or would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda if everything seems in order?
Motion to approve the agenda.
That's Commissioner Kim, who will second the motion.
I'll second it, Robin.
Commissioner Dattel, hope I'm pronouncing it well this time. Thank you. Any discussions on the motion? Any objections? No? Okay, so let's vote on it. Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Dattel?
Aye.
Commissioner Ullman?
Aye.
Commissioner Kim?
Aye.
Commissioner Serena?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Austin?
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Britton?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. Taro, please interrupt me if at some point I overlook anything. I don't believe that I need to ask for public comment on this, right? And if you're answering, you're muted, so I cannot hear you.
No, you don't.
Okay, thank you. So we are moving on to agenda item number 4. So we are now welcoming public comments on topics that are not related to the commission business. Anything that is not on the agenda. So to members of the public, now is a good time to address the commission. Do we have any public comments at this time? So if you'd like to make a comment, you're invited to raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so I do not see any reaction from members of the public. So we are now going to, I've been waiting for this agenda item so long, I just skipped everything else and went straight through it. So agenda item number 5, approval of the January 31, 2022 commission meeting minutes. So this is attachment A. Okay, so I'm going to assume, yes, Commissioner Reed.
Yes, I just have one comment on page 6. It's a little muddled on the comment that I made about the criteria. And what I intended to say was that I had concerns about one-offs and then proceeding on from there, recommending that anything that we approve have the potential for long-term outcomes and sustainability.
Thank you for clarifying. Would you mind, for those who don't have that in front of their eyes, when they listen to this recording, would you mind giving us a context? Are you referring to the early approval items? Or?
On page 6 of
Yes.
8 in the minutes, item 8D.
8D, thank you.
It said I was concerned with the funding actions funding actions now with one-off funding, and that we should be seeking projects that establish a foundation that can be scaled up or matured to sustainability.
Okay. Noted. Thank you, Commissioner Reed. And Charlie, I believe you took note of the amendment. So at this point, I have a question about logistic. When a correction is made to the minutes, Taro, how do we proceed? Because I'm still ready to call for an approval pending that that correction will be added to it.
Right, you make that note that approval of the minutes is with the noted correction.
Okay. Thank you. So is there any additional comment or discussion needed on the minutes from January 31?
I actually just have one more, sorry.
Yes, of course.
Correction. On page 8 of 8, item B, 3, Roman numeral 3, the SWOT, it's not SWOT, it's SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that's I was suggesting that we conduct a SWOT analysis that will reveal the gaps, needs, and strengths of the county.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Charlie, did you get that? Yes, okay, I got a yes from Charlie. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course. And any additional comment on the minutes from last month's meeting? Okay, I don't see any reaction. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from January 31, 31st with the noted corrections?
I move approval. Second.
Commissioner Ullman, did you make a motion?
Well, I was attempting to, but I think everybody rushed in there, so
Yeah,
I apologize.
I conceded to Commissioner Ullman's motion, and I am seconding it.
So I will need Commissioner Ullman to please state the motion, so we'll be able to vote on it. It needs to be stated, please.
And what I move to approve the minutes of the January commission meeting as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Reed, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the motion? I don't see any reactions, so let's vote on it. Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Dattel?
Aye.
Commissioner Ullman?
Aye.
Commissioner Kim?
Aye.
Commissioner Serena?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Austin?
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
Abstain.
Okay. Commissioner Britton?
Also abstain.
Okay, and I vote aye. The motion passes. Okay, so we are, let me just check in the participation, just checking on the members of the public. Okay, so we are moving on to agenda item number 6, and this is staff announcements, reports from staff and commissioners. And I'll let the staff take over, lead us into this. Do we have any staff reports or staff announcements? You are so loud, I can't really hear it very well. Yes, Charlie.
I was going to say I don't. Leave it. I don't have any announcement for the group, but I'll leave that to Taro. Just disappeared from my view.
Yes, he might have some technical or connectivity issues. Thank you, Charlie, for that. While we're waiting for Taro to join us again, is there any commissioner with an announcement, maybe an event that is happening, a training, anything you would like to share with the commission? So while you are thinking, yes, Commissioner Datter.
I just wanted to say that the commissioner reports also appears under item number 11.
Oh, that's true. Thank you. So as a clarification, one of the reasons we have included the commissioner's report or announcement this early is so that if there is something that is shared that we'd like to see on the agenda next month, so we have a chance to think about it. So that would be one of the reasons. I just want to share that the Alliance for Family Farmers is in session right now. So this week they have the annual conference, and on Thursday there's going to be farm tour happening in Davis in the afternoon around 4 p.m. And Charlie, if it's okay, I will send you the written information and that will be shared with the commissioners. So I'm sharing that because as we've stated in previous meetings, we've expressed interest in being better acquainted with our local farmers and including them in one of the working groups. So I thought that information will be of interest. Charlie, I think you're back. I
did see Taro just joined us, Chair.
So okay, yes. So Taro, do you have an announcement, or shall we move on to the next agenda item?
I don't, and I apologize. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I was off the meeting.
Okay.
But, I do not have any announcement.
Okay, thank you very much. So with this, we are going to look at agenda item number 7. This is a land acknowledgement. That's an item that was suggested by Commissioner Kim. Commissioner Kim, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So on the packet, commission packet, on page 9, I believe, is the proposed land acknowledged statement from the county staff. And I just want to say 2 things. First, a big thank you to the county staff for the due diligence and their thoughtfulness in reaching out to many different groups and tribal leaders for the language that is being presented today. Second, want to say that the land acknowledgement we believe is very important. It's a symbolic gesture, but it is just the first step of being very intentional in our public discussions. And we hope that we can continue to be proactive and intentional in raising the needs and raising the needs and being supportive of our Native communities, especially with climate action and beyond. And with that, a big thank you to Sarah Morgan, of course, for joining us. And with that, I will pass it on to Taro for any other comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Kim. The only thing I can add is that as part of that, we did reach out as we were looking at what the proper land acknowledgement ought to be. We wanted to be as broad, as inclusive as possible. And the reason why this language is in front of you, I had an extensive conversation with Yoshadihi staff, Omar Carrillo. We talked at length about how wide, the Winton Nation is in Yolo County, and how this particular acknowledgement has been approved by the Tribal Council. It is also used by other jurisdictions in Yolo County. And so for consistency, we felt that this was the most appropriate one to share for this commission's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Taro, and thank you, Commissioner Kim. Before we discuss this further, I would like a volunteer to please read the land acknowledgement out loud as suggested. Will someone please read it? Commissioner Serena, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We should take a moment to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered. For thousands of years, this land has been the home of the Patwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Patwin tribes: the Kachil-Dehe Band of Wintoon Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, Quetzal-Dehe Band of Wintoon Indians, and Yocha Dihi Wentu Nation. The Patwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It has been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations. We are honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands.
Thank you, Commissioner Serena. So as a reminder, we are discussing this agenda item because we are looking at starting our meetings, all of our upcoming meetings with a land acknowledgement. So do we have any reaction? Is there any commissioner who would like to add a comment? And also I would like to thank our ex officio member, Sarah Morgan, for being with us today of the Yocha Dihi Nation. Would anyone like to add anything? Any reflections, any objection? Okay.
I move adoption of a land acknowledgement as a formal part of our convening process.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Do we have a second?
I would like to
second.
second it.
Someone try again.
I would like to second it. Also, Commissioner Britton is also wanting to second it, so.
And will we be co-seconds?
Sounds good.
I thank you all three. So do we have any objection to the motion as stated? Seems not. Let's vote on it. Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Dattel?
Aye.
Commissioner Ullman?
Aye.
Commissioner Kim?
Aye.
Commissioner Serena?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Austin?
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Britton?
Aye.
And I vote aye. This motion passes unanimously. Thank you all.
Madam Chair, and just one minor clarification with
Yes.
this vote, what we will do is this will be at the top of the agenda, probably following the online authorization. It will be a standing item at the beginning of the agenda, and the chair can either read or she can obviously offer if any commissioner would like to read the acknowledgement at the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you, Taro. That's very good to know. And also I would like to apologize to all of you and to the members of the public, because before the vote, I should have asked if there were any public comments. I don't see any reactions, so I got away with it this time around, but I'll be more mindful moving forward. Okay, so this was agenda item number 7. Thank you all again. Moving on to agenda item number 8. So this is a staff report on the proposed Yolo Climate Action Commission Charter Amendment. And Taro, I believe you are going to lead us into this conversation. And this is attachment C. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item is actually not an action item for the commission. It is more of an informational item. As the commission is well aware, the very initial meetings of the commission and during the proceedings of one of the development projects that the county was reviewing, there was a desire and raised a few times by some commissioners and also by members of the public that the commission should be reviewing development projects. And I don't want to reiterate that. That was explained during the commission by Board of Supervisors and by staff. That is not as part of the scope of the commission. But we felt it was best, given that we continue to have comments and requests from members of the public, that it was probably best captured by making an amendment to the charter to clarify that. And in doing so, we also noted that there were some cleanup items with respect to how amendments ought to be handled. They are included in your attachment, and we will be bringing those to the Board of Supervisors, I believe in March sometime. So that's the update, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Taro. Do we have, as a commission, any question for Taro? Okay, Taro, it seems we.
Actually,
Commissioner Britton has a comment.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm new to this, so I want to learn everything that I can. And the first question I guess I have for Taro is whether this is a done deal, or whether there's any further discussion to be had on the matter. And I wanted to share the experience from Winters of how they solved, well, it's not yet solved because the standing commission there hasn't been chartered yet, but the plan as currently envisioned in Winters is to have a formal liaison process between the Climate Action Commission in Winters and the Planning Commission. And possibly also, and probably they have an early review board committee called the Design Review Committee, which sees any plans before they're formally before the Planning Commission. And it strikes me that that's a good thing. It's a good, there's expertise in this committee, especially after the introductions, that exceeds probably the technical climate expertise on the Planning Commission. It seems like some kind of liaison would be a great idea, and I just don't know if it's possible now.
I think that at this time it's probably not possible. The charter for this commission again was discussed and approved by the Board of Supervisors, and they've been very clear with respect to the charter, or the charge, I guess I would say, and that is to focus on this climate action plan. That is not to say that once the climate action plan has been adopted and we move into an implementation phase, that perhaps through the work of the climate action plan itself, that the role of this commission could evolve into perhaps something that what you're describing. But I think that at this time, it is the board's desire that this commission focus on the work on the climate action plan itself.
If I may make one more comment on that, at the risk of running my mouth, it seems like this is slightly out of the spirit of the declaration of an emergency, because it's ongoing plans that are the fastest things we can do, as is instantiated by our work today on the early action items. And it seems to me that there's a pipeline of stuff going through the county's planning process that could use our help. And so will the Board of Supervisors possibly consider the idea that there would be, as a part of the emergency declaration, some sense that this could be done faster?
I can't speak for the board. So I don't think that I can answer that specifically. Of course, this is an item that will go to the board. It will be discussed in an open meeting, and I guess that there is an opportunity to have a discussion at that time. We as staff don't see it that way because, again, we take our direction from the board. But if the board wished to modify that, of course, I've always said, this is the board's charter for the commission, and if they wish to modify it, absolutely they can.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying, Taro. And we lost Supervisor Saylor, I believe. I don't see him anymore. Yes, Commissioner Dattel.
Yeah, I just wondered if the arrangement that requires a 2/3 majority vote, if we're going to recommend any changes, is that the sort of regular rule for any boards and commissions in the county, or are we being made an exception?
No, that is typically the rule. That was actually when we were drafting the charter. That was a recommendation that came straight from the county council's office to be more consistent with other commissions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dattel. Any additional questions or remarks? Okay, it seems not from the commission. To the members of the public, would you like to make a comment? Raise your hand if it's the case, please. Okay, I do not see any reactions from the public. So Taro, thank you again for sharing that update. And with that, we are going to look at agenda item number 9. So I believe this is possibly our heaviest agenda item tonight. It is 5 o'clock. We do have, we have more than enough time. So I will leave the floor to Petrea Marchand. Thank you so much, Petrea, for taking over.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. Petrea Marchand again with Kinsera Solutions. And for the benefit of new members, I'll just provide you a little bit of background. The commission decided to undertake early actions that they will recommend to the Board of Supervisors prior to completion of the update to the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan to show progress towards meeting the 2020 emergency resolution. So the commission reviewed, and the commission also agreed to prioritize actions so that the county could focus its resources on the ones that were likely to have the most significant benefit towards addressing the climate resolution's priorities. So the commission reviewed draft prioritization criteria in December and approved final prioritization criteria, which are part of the packet today, in January. The commission also solicited early actions from members of the public, commission members, and from staff with starting in November with a deadline of January 31st, and received 21 early actions. The commission then asked Yolo County staff and consultants to apply the prioritization criteria to those 21 early actions and come back with recommendations. And that is what we are here to discuss tonight. I wanted to emphasize, because the commission made it very clear at the last meeting, that the result of this prioritization is a tool for the commission to use tonight. And it is not, the final say in what actions should move forward. And you are welcome and in fact encouraged to use your best professional judgment, as illustrated by all the wonderful introductions today, to recommend changes to the staff's proposed priorities for early actions. I did want to emphasize that after you approve actions tonight, and we're hoping that you approve between 6 to 8, but it's at the commission's discretion. That's only to keep in mind that there is limited staff resources for both seeking funding and implementing projects. But after the commission selects priorities, then staff will develop more detailed project descriptions for each of the priority actions, which will allow staff to better seek funding for those actions. And then those staff will also take those we'll bring those project descriptions back to the commission in March, and then we'll take both the project descriptions and the recommended early actions to the Board of Supervisors in April. Once they have been approved, then staff will be very quickly trying to pull together a funding plan, because again, we understand the urgency of the work that we're doing here tonight. And that will both potentially recommend use of American Rescue Plan funds, as well as leverage those funds to seek state and federal grants. So what we're talking about here tonight is the real work that will get done, while at the same time the commission is moving forward with updating the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. So I am happy. I'll stop there for a second with that overview and see if you have any questions about the overview. And then I'll go into a little more detail about how staff applied the prioritization criteria. So especially new members, any questions about the process? Taro, you want to add something?
Yeah, just one quick addition actually for the benefit of these new members perhaps, and then that is when you mentioned ARP funds, the Board of Supervisors has set aside $1 million for this effort. And as Petrea mentioned, just to reiterate that piece, our hope and our strategy is to use those $1 million wisely and hopefully multiply that several times worth through the the grant funding opportunities, and use some of those funds as matching funds. But again, it doesn't preclude, if this commission feels that a project is worthy of immediate funding, that you couldn't recommend that to the Board of Supervisors to be perhaps fully funded from those ARP funds. So just wanted to say that that's the pot, $1 million.
Thank you. Commissioner Britton has a question.
Yeah, the question is simple. The ARP funding has certain constraints on it, right? That it has to be COVID related. It'd be nice to hear as we go through the projects that are in contention, whether or not those are suitable for ARP funding.
So there's two ways that the ARP funds, there's the county does have some funds that are to made up for lost revenue that are more flexible than the ones that have restrictions on them. So I would assume at this point, and Taro, you and I can talk more later, that there's an opportunity to fund even programs that don't meet those criteria with ARP funds because of that flexibility with the lost net revenue. And what staff's proposal is right now is to develop the priorities tonight and then match up funding after the priorities have been developed. And the reason for that is we're really hoping the commission will focus on only the merits of the projects and not whether they can get funded. We're very optimistic given the amount of money from the state and federal government for climate action, as well as the ARP funds, that we're going to be able to have a very good chance of finding funding for your top priorities. And so we really are hoping the commission tonight can focus on the merits of each proposal, and then we'll come back to you at a future date with a discussion about how to fund them.
Yeah, and one additional piggyback to that comment is that we also want to make sure that the commission is aware that of the 21 projects that were submitted, and there is of course a staff recommendation in your report, it doesn't mean that the rest that were not recommended, right, that we are basically saying forget about those. Quite the opposite. All we're saying is the priorities are those that we want to focus on now, and the others don't go away. Those perhaps get folded into our climate action plan, or they are set aside for implementation at a later date. So I just want to make sure that that everyone understands that projects are not selected, they're not rejected.
So one more question. Sorry, I'm being lame here, but the question is whether the projects can be modified at this point, either in scope or language, as our part of our discussion of rating those where they stand to each other. It seems like some of them, with minor modification, could change their significance by the rating standards somewhat. And I wonder if they're written in stone or not.
Yeah, and I'll start with that, and Taro can add, but the answer is absolutely. You'll see that in the staff report, staff did that because sometimes there was a complementary project, and so we just combined them into two. Or like, for example, we know that there's going to be a rebate program for one of the things that was originally proposed to be funded with our dollars. And so we're like, hey, let's change that to make sure that we're taking advantage of the state rebate program, right? So I do think there's going to be information that comes up tonight that's going to help inform how to best craft the early action. And we will take all of that input and make sure that if it's selected as a priority, that we develop a robust project description that includes both the information we currently have and any of the feedback we received tonight.
Thank you. And I believe Sarah Morgan would like to contribute to this conversation.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I want to extend my gratitude and thanks to the staff for putting this together. I thought it was a pretty good analysis, and especially I'm a very visual person, so the table you have included I think is really helpful. So my question though, in looking those over, really only a small handful of them actually have estimated costs.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand you don't want to limit yourselves, and the commission doesn't want to limit ourselves in what we're aiming for, but I mean, do we have any sense of what these might cost?
So that's a great question, and we struggled with that ourselves, and Taro's nodding here because we struggled together. But the nice part about the way the commission approved the prioritization criteria is that we were really hoping to, we were able to apply our best professional judgment to whether we thought, the costs were going to be, high, medium, or low. And so I think that and for many of these, we don't have cost information. We will develop that information as part of developing the more detailed project descriptions. So it was a struggle, and it is something that you should consider tonight. But ultimately, we felt that the other criteria were sufficient to guide the top priorities, because it was very clear when we applied them which ones were rising to the top. So we felt that even though we wish we did have better cost information for some of these, that we still had sufficient information to recommend priorities to you. But absolutely, Commissioner Morgan, I would, consider that tonight as part of your, decision-making process.
Thank you. Commissioner Reed.
Thank you. Well, I congratulate the staff and second Sarah's comments with respect to the array that's shown here. I think they've done a great job at selecting, combining, articulating, and explaining what these projects would accomplish. I really, personally, I'm very interested in the whole foundational structure of cross-collaboration and partnership that's included and represented by the projects. It would be helpful. I know that the costs, which was also a question that I had, are not yet completely identified, but it would be helpful if you have any sense of kind of magnitude, like from least cost to most cost, if they could be arrayed or described in that way. I also like the fact that all of these projects are not only appear to be able to yield measurable benefits and greenhouse gas emissions reductions, but also can serve as models for not only the cities within our communities, but also the other communities within California. So I like that aspect of what's been presented here. I have a particular interest in the KPay project, and based on what I know about that project, feel like it may be one of the lower cost options. So I would like to hold open the possibility that we could either in this meeting or the next meeting identify some projects that are sort of slam dunk for, or shovel ready, as the old recovery fund programs specify, that are kind of up and ready to go, and that with a little bit of funding provided from the county could be up and running relatively quickly.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Reed. I wanted to add to my answer on the costs that the reason why I think the prioritization criteria were done well by the commission is that it is relative costs that they asked us to evaluate. Is this costly relative to, do the benefits justify the cost relative to other actions, right? So we did, where possible, do exactly what you just suggested. If we anticipated that the cost would be high, then we stated that in the comments and we ranked the project lower, even though we didn't have an exact cost estimate. So if at any one point any of the commissioners with your professional judgment disagree with those assessments, we're more than happy to revisit it. But that did allow us some flexibility because it was relative to other actions.
Thank you, Petrea. Commissioner Kim?
Yes, thank you. I know the county staff, well, first of all, thank you again to the county staff for all your work consolidating and the various proposals that were presented. I know I submitted like 17, so that was a lot. But one program that I realized I don't see here, and I'm sorry that I only caught this now, and I thought it would have been considered, and because it was distinctly different from the other program, was the expansion of the Carl Moyer program, which is the ag equipment retrofit program. And I know that proposal was submitted, and that was different from the other sustainable ag programs. And so I wanted to see if it was possible, because I know that there is this list, and I think this list is, you know, as mentioned before by Commissioner Reed, I think it's a fantastic list, but is it too late? Like, I mean, the proposal that was submitted, expansion of Carl Moyer, like I have to say that, you know, that idea came from the Farm Bureau, and thank you again, Denise, for being on, joining us today. And so I wanted to make sure that that program was also at least part of the list, because that was submitted.
Yeah, I'm going to ask, it wasn't in the list that I was given, and so we might have missed it. And if we did, it is our apologies, and it should be considered. Taro, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I agree with that. It doesn't sound familiar to me, Commissioner Kim, and we obviously need to do some data brushing on our end, because it's possible that somehow it fell through the cracks, or we missed that email or something. But it doesn't sound familiar. So again, I reiterate my apologies as well on that. But again, we're not ready to finalize this anyway. So of course there's opportunities. One of the things that I've consistently said about the commission, this is your work. We don't want to push you in any given direction. Of course there's urgency. We understand that. But within that context, we want to make sure that we're doing, this is your recommendation. Not so absolutely, if there's something that we've missed, we want to go back and bring it back. It doesn't preclude us from doing that in the upcoming meetings. So again, I appreciate 100% you bringing that up to us, Commissioner Kim.
And I would just add, Taro, correct me if I'm wrong on the options here, but the commission could decide to add it tonight as a priority if they felt they had different information about it. Number two, they could approve the recommended action, the recommended priorities, with the caveat that they want to potentially add another one in March, right? That would say those are the two.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner White.
Clarifying question for Andrew. What was that? Did you see that proposal in the Dropbox? Because there were a few there that said farming, but none of them had the word Carl Moyer in it.
I'm not sure. I'll have to recheck. I assume that it was always on it because it was submitted a couple times. So I am going to resend it now. But it was actually one of the very first and like most prominent proposals that we focused on, because that was something that was requested by the Farm Bureau. So.
Is the proposal that Carl Moyer, that Yolo Solano AQMD extend Carl Moyer to fund more off-road agricultural equipment?
Exactly. So as you know, the state of California has the Carl Moyer program, but 80% of that funding from the state actually goes to San Joaquin County. So for a lot of the other counties, they don't have the ability to provide that subsidy to the farmers who are trying to retrofit their equipment to make it more energy efficient. And so if Yolo County could have a little bit more funding to support those farmers, that could be beneficial and valuable.
Do you know? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was just going to ask how much is needed. How much money?
Well, I will mention as kind of the technical person in here, of the Carl Moyer program that Yolo Solano AQMD gets, almost all of it goes to Solano County. There is very little that's directed at Yolo County. And so actually the bigger issue needs to be that they need to direct more of that funding to Yolo County. And there are reasons for it. Solano County, through property taxes and other things, pays into the fund for many of those programs. And so they have matching funds. We don't give them any matching funds. And it's also kind of tricky this year that ARB actually wants the folks who get all of the air districts who get the Carl Moyer money to use it to leverage federal funding for school buses. So I don't know that this is necessarily a role of this committee to lobby Yolo Solano QMD about Carl Moyer funds. But for those of you who are interested in it, that's where the case needs to be made with them to spend more of that money in Yolo County.
Thank you, Commissioner White, for this observation, and Vice Chair Kim for clarifying. I would like just to pause for just a few seconds, and Petrea, I'll leave you the floor in very shortly. But so just so we decide on how we're moving forward, and we continue to focus on the early action items. So regarding what Commissioner Kim raised, so my understanding is that we have two options. I'm not sure that we're well equipped to discuss the item tonight because many of us have not had a document in writing. So I'm not sure how productive the conversation will be, but we do have the option of asking that it be considered by the staff in the proposal as you're moving forward. Did I hear that correctly?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Yes, regarding that early action item that was not included, before you continue with your presentation and before we discuss the actual early action items, so regarding that one that wasn't added, I was wondering if Taro or you could rephrase the options. I understand that we have two options.
Sure.
So one was that we could discuss it tonight. The other was that we could ask the staff to consider it and possibly add it in the document that they will be presenting to the Board of Supervisors. One question that I do have, I was wondering if, because we started having quite a deep conversation about it, so I was wondering if this is something that should be added to a next agenda item. So would you mind rephrasing again what the options are? And then
of course. No, of course.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say also, I'm very familiar with the Kalmar program and agree with what everybody said. And it would be a very easy one to assess, likely to rank fairly high. I can't say that for sure because I'm not sitting down with the actual proposal. But you know, I'm looking to Taro here because I'm the consultant. But this is a known quantity for, trying to reduce emissions, especially with this additional information about how little money's gone to Yolo County. That's a pretty powerful argument for the proposal. So I will just say the two options are, number one is tonight, you could decide that it's a priority as a commission and to, request that you add it as a priority, and we'll come back with additional details with a project description which has costs and other information for you. And you would have to approve that project description at a future commission meeting. And option number two is that you could approve the rest of the priorities tonight that you select, and then caveat your motion with we're holding open the option to potentially add another proposal at the next meeting to the list.
Thank you, Petrea. Taro, did you want to add to what Petrea just said?
No, I think that's accurate.
Do we have any reactions from our commissioners? Commissioner Britton?
Yeah, I just got my Brown Act training, and I don't think we can actually discuss that item tonight because it hadn't appeared on the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. Commissioner Kim, I believe you had your hand raised as well.
I just want to say both options that Petrea mentioned sound good to me. So thanks.
Thank you. So before we look at the early action items, I would like to get a consensus on moving that item, that proposal, to the next agenda meeting if the commission would like to discuss it. So I will confess that I am torn between two options here. One will be to ask the staff to still look at it while they're recommending the other items, with the knowledge that we will discuss that again next month. But also we can pause on that and then discuss it at the next meeting and then go from there. Yes, Commissioner Kim.
Yes, I would like to motion to approve the recommendations from the staff now, knowing that we want to get going on some of these very important projects and recommendations, noting that we would in the future definitely account for other projects or programs, including the Carl Moyer program that we will have to discuss next time.
Could I I think we haven't had much of a chance to discuss the rankings. And I think it might be premature to approve that list now without further discussion from the board. I have several specific questions and suggestions, and I'm sure many other commissioners do as well.
I think you're muted, Chairwoman Lavando.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Ken, for your observation and noticing my mic was off. Ken, to clarify, my understanding was that the motion that was just made was so that we wait until next month to discuss the missing item. And right now we talk about the early action items. So we are going to discuss them right now. So the motion is not so that we approve them without discussing them. I hope that clarifies what's happening here.
Okay. No, I understand. I thought we were already going to move to approve. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we are moving forward or being all on the same page. I'm Commissioner Austin.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm probably just going to affirm what's just been said, that yes, I think your clarification about Commissioner Kim's motion sounds good. And I also would I don't know if I'm seconding quite yet. I don't think we're there, functionally, but I just want to voice my support for taking action tonight and leaving it open for future discussion at a future meeting.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Austin. So this is what I suggest. We are going to move on to the second part of this conversation, which will be discussing the early action items that were put forth and the ones recommended by the staff. At the end of that discussion, we are going to vote on the approved early action items, and we are going to have a motion regarding the missing item. Is that okay with everyone? So we're saving all the motions and all the votes for the end of this conversation. Okay, thank you all again for all your input. And Petrea, I think the floor is yours again. Thank you.
Okay. I will be very brief because I know you need time for discussion. I just wanted to say in introducing the 7 recommended staff items that number 1, they were selected because they had 4 or more highs based on the criteria. Number 2, that where it was possible to combine actions, even if one didn't rank high, staff combined it into one project, and we noted in the staff report where we combined it. And that for incomplete proposals, as I said earlier, we applied our best professional judgment. So we ended up with the 7 that are in your list, which includes removing fossil fuels from Yolo County operations, transitioning all county electric accounts to 100% renewable energy, electric retrofits and natural gas appliance replacement rebates. And I wanted to mention here, because we had a question from one of the commissioners, that this is one of the ones where, given there is a proposed new state rebate program, we have amended that to focus on making sure that Yolo gets out in front, and we all know about it before anybody else, and it all comes to Yolo. That's my official, unofficial interpretation of the project description. And then number 4 is mandate home energy labeling, which is an easy one to make consumers more aware. The 25,000, which, as someone mentioned, is the lowest cost item of all of the ones that were presented for the Community Resilience Hub. Number 6 was a combination, which is the Zero Emission Vehicle Master Plan and a climate outreach strategy. So we did adjust that project a little bit to accommodate the 2 different proposals that we received. And finally, number 7 was the carbon farming partnership that was proposed by the Center for Land-Based Learning. And if you approve that action tonight, that is also a combination of the proposal to conduct outreach to farmers in Yolo County regarding the benefits of the Conservation Reserve Program. So we would go back to the Center for Land-Based Learning if you approve this priority and ask them to add that to their project. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about those recommendations or about the rankings.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. Commissioner Reid, did you want to speak as well? Okay, hands raised. Commissioner Britton, please.
Okay, I'll start with a specific one. So in the table, which was really nice. I second that, that it was a great tool. I noticed that the electrifying Yolo fleet got a high for co-benefits, but in that column, it said that no co-benefits were listed. So I was puzzled as to why it had a high. And I think that might be significant because it was one of the ones that only had 4 highs. And if it loses that one, then it's down with a whole bunch of others that had 3. So that could be significant to the overall list that we produce. I have a couple more thoughts as well, but I'm going to just toss that one out and then let others speak and come back to some of my others.
So I'm seeing that one, that's item number, purchase of electric vehicles for the county fleet, number 20. So everyone's on the same page. Is that the one or a different one? Uh-oh, did I freeze? No, I didn't. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out which one it is.
Ken, would you clarify?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find it on my crowded screen here.
Yeah, I know. That's the only problem with this table. I like this table too, but it's really big.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Now I got to zoom in on it. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. This is
No problem.
I
Because
should
when
have
I look
I
at
should have 2 screens for this. So we are talking about it was fairly high. I should have put a number on here. No. Yeah, for county fleet, that is indeed item number 20.
okay,
And
that one shows up for me as a medium for co-benefits.
did I get that wrong? I might have skipped a line there.
But you're probably
Yeah,
right.
sorry.
It should have been a low. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My eyes must have skipped to 21 while I was reading that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will
Sorry.
mention that number 10 has that high ranking and no listed co-benefits. So I wonder if that's the one you were thinking about, Ken.
Of removing fossil fuels from Yolo County operations.
Oh, okay, that's the one. Check. Yep, that's the one. That is indeed the one. Okay,
Yeah, so
gotcha.
that one, I think we're using, as staff, we're saying there's probably co-benefits, but you could decide that there is not.
Just real quick to add, so on some of these, there was not data or information provided, and so staff had to develop an assumption based on our professional expertise and experience. So some of these are just based in assumptions versus data that was actually submitted via the application. So where it says there aren't any listed co-benefits, for example, based on prior experiences, we felt like there would be co-benefits. We ranked it higher than would have otherwise been ranked without that information being presented.
So can we get a sense of what those benefits would be?
Yeah, so for me, I actually kind of agree with you. I'm just going to say that this was a hard table to put together, unless Michael, you or Taro, can come up with what the co-benefits are. I think this might have been a mistake. But I do think I would say that by combining the two, because we combined the ZEV master plan and the outreach. This one is removing fossil fuels. You're right. This is one you could remove just because it goes down to 3. I'm looking to Taro and Michael here. I think this is on the fence based on that. No?
No, I think the conversation we had about this one involved the catalytic potential of municipal operations transitioning. It also creates a market driver for those vehicles, for charging stations, and for electrification more generally. It creates visibility, co-benefits of publicity, and the connection of, the agencies and the public agencies themselves doing the conversion provides a driving force for the community as well. So there are some co-benefits that weren't fully clarified. I'm sure, based on Chris and Suzanne's heads nodding, probably have some other thoughts as well on some of these co-benefits. But, I think part of the hard part of the co-benefits is that they don't always apply in all conditions and situations. So we did have to kind of have a discussion about some of these and say, maybe this applies here, maybe it doesn't apply here. And, the time it would take to provide a very significant analysis of those co-benefits is not what we had in time for this prioritization process. The intent is to further develop these narratives after the commission provides guidance this evening.
Thank you, Michael, for clarifying. Commissioner White?
Leads right into what I was going to say, Petrea and rest of the team. I thought this was great, the way that you summarized these down. On that item number 1, not in the table, but item number 1, the fossil fuels from Yolo County operations. I just want to make sure that we're clear that we've mixed a couple of things there. It talks about natural gas use from county operations, and then it says gas furnaces and gas water heaters and gas powered landscaping equipment. That's gasoline powered landscaping equipment, not natural gas landscaping equipment. And when we start talking, y'all, about the moving the fleet over, there is a regulation coming later this year that is going to require that.
Okay.
So that's not even gonna be an option. We should not spend our time talking about something that everybody's gonna have to do anyway. So I would skip that. And then Petrea, on just 2 other technical things. On item 2, the transitional county electric accounts to 100% renewable. Totally agree with that. Just keep in mind that there are some Yolo County offices in West Sacramento, and we are not part of VCE.
Oh,
and
okay.
then item 3, so it needs to have something in like or cleanest available.
Okay.
And item 3, which is the electric retrofits, which I totally agree with. I would specify that it's single family and multifamily, not just residential, because there's going to be 2 pots of money for that.
Okay, single family and multifamily. Okay.
Yep. And that completes all of my technical comments.
Thank you so much, Commissioner White. Commissioner Reed?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate Commissioner White pointing out that more than natural gas is referred to in number 1. So perhaps that needs to be changed to fossil fuel. But also, all this says is the proposed action will create a process and time schedule for eliminating fossil fuels or natural gas, as it states now. And so I don't see anything with respect to the generation of co-benefits. I feel like Michael summarized some that are less easily quantified, but qualitatively, I think have real value. So, it's one of those discretionary things, but I think the intent and the outcome that are the vision of this particular recommendation are quite valuable. So, and in terms of, I don't know what kind of cost would be involved in creating a plan, a process, and a time schedule, but I assume that it would include taking into consideration any pending or future changes in regulation and requirements from the state or the local air quality management district, and any other actions that we take relative to local ordinances and activities for the other cities. So I think it's a good one, and I'm in favor of leaving it. I did have a question, though, about the numbering overall. And that is the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4 the ranking, or just a listing number?
Yeah, all equally weighted at this point for moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Petrea, did you want to add anything before Commissioner Kim ask his question?
No, I thought all those were good comments. So looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you, Commissioner Kim.
Yes, mine is a point of information in regards to the 5th item on the recommended which is the Cape Valley Health and Community Center. On the table, it was the initial estimate was 25,000, but that was when this proposal was first submitted. One thing we have come to realize in regards to being able to get this a retrofit change order done on behalf of the various partners involved, including the Rise Incorporated, Yochadehi, Winters Healthcare, and various community groups, is that every month that goes on, it may cost more. So I think the estimate that may come out when the Board of Supervisors makes a final decision to make that change order may be a little bit different than what was proposed and what you see here. With that being said, being able to get that change order done when right now we're doing trench work and still able to just change the conduit sides and change the electrical system right now before any structures are built is still going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars on the back end. So there is still going to be significant savings, but I just wanted to make that point that by the time that the Board of Supervisors make a decision, that amount could be a little bit different in regards to what the change order is going to cost. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Kim. Petrea, do you have any reaction to what you just heard?
I would just suggest that you include something in your motion to allow us to go above the stated cost if you end up prioritizing that action.
Okay. Thank you. I'm making a note of that.
Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Please proceed.
Thank you. I want to, this is Don, and I just want to mention that the county has already provided a substantial amount of an investment in the health center in Esparto. If there is an urgency for the change order, Taro, I would request that you take a look at whether that can be done within what we've already allocated to get it out and then come back with authorization at a later time. And there's got to be a way to not lose that opportunity. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Seller.
And I will follow up with that on that.
Thank you, Taro. So I just want to have a question for my fellow commissioners. So looking at the recommended list that we received from the staff and the consultants, do you see anything on this list you feel shouldn't be there, shouldn't be recommended? Is there any project, any recommended items that you're objecting to? Commissioner Britton.
Yeah, so my biggest concern was the home energy labeling strikes me as a great idea. I'm all with it, but it doesn't strike me as being so immediate, right? Because it rests on informing the public and allowing the market to gradually work toward improving home efficiency and reducing usage. And that strikes me as maybe not an early action item, although a very valuable project. And it may be something else on our list of possibles would be better qualified as an immediate effect.
Thank you very much, Ken, for bringing that up. Before giving the floor to Commissioner Alvarez, I was wondering if anyone would like to add to what Commissioner Britton just said. Yes, Commissioner White.
So Ken, this was my addition because this is going to be rolled out statewide. It's already in process, and we have an opportunity to be an early adopter of this and actually start this as a voluntary action for almost free. And it's also a great way for us to sync it with some job training programs, and it could actually create a lot of new jobs that lead to high paying jobs where we put it in already in the where it's already in play in the Bay Area. It's been a really successful program in working with people who are not college bound and have also recently come, I guess, at risk youth is the right way. I just think we have an opportunity to get on the ground floor. You're right, we could wait. If we wait, we miss the job creation aspect of it.
Thank you, Commissioner White, for the precision. While we're still discussing that item, is there a commissioner who would like to add to this particular conversation? Commissioner Alvarez, thank you.
Yeah, so it is related. My question was about, the description of the project says giving homeowners information on the energy efficiency actually improves the energy efficiency of those homes. And I was wondering, since the program is already being implemented in Portland and Berkeley, if there's any data to support that statement.
Thank you, Commissioner Alvarez. Petri, I think this is a Commissioner White. Maybe one of you could answer.
Yeah, I think Commissioner White might be better able to answer that.
Thank you.
I do have data, and for all, I want to put the cards on the table in that Frontier Energy is the one who implements this in Berkeley. So we do have all of the data for it. I am happy to share it with the staff and we can bring it to you at the next meeting. I would also recommend that you can look on the Frontier Energy website, frontierenergy.com. In the resources page, we have a link to the BayREN annual report. And in that report, it specifically states what happened with home energy score. And I think it's the 2020 report. I think we're finishing the 2021 right now. But it has very impressive statistics, which is why we're rolling this out statewide. Which is why PG&E is leading the rolling out of it statewide, I should say.
Thank you, Commissioner White. And Commissioner Reed.
I would put it in the link if it wasn't against the rules. I would put the link in the chat, but sorry.
I've made note, Commissioner White, of your initiative to send the data to the staff and we'll have access to it at the next meeting. Commissioner Reed, if it is okay with you, I would like to ask Ken Britton first if he has any reactions to what he's heard so far, since all of these are responses to the point he raised. Commissioner Britton.
Great, thank you very much. Very good discussion. Thank you, Commissioner White. Just the quick clarification on all the job creation. If it's just providing information to homeowners, I don't quite see where the job creation is. Is that through the work that they will then have done in their houses?
It's actually a home energy score auditor who comes in and does it for them. So it is a person who comes in and does the auditing. In Berkeley and in Portland, it's paid for by the program. So there's no cost to the homeowner to come in and do this. And then they're given a score, and home energy score is a US DOE program. So there is a very regimented way to do that. The way that it's been implemented in Berkeley and Portland, it's only when you sell your home and the seller is required to disclose what their label is. So many homeowners then put in these energy efficiency upgrades, which could be as little as replacing windows or as big as a whole house retrofit, so that they have a better score. It's kind of like the fuel economy label on your car. And it has done a lot during right now contractors are pretty busy, but in the years that contractors were not so busy, it was created a good income stream for them, and everybody saw a return on the investment.
Thank you, Commissioner White. Did I hear you say that the job creation will also benefit the at-risk youth?
Yeah, the program that's doing it is in the Bay Area. It's called like Sunshine Rise. It has a weird name, and I'll have to look that up again. But there's a partnership between BayREN. Oh, it's called Rising Sun. Between BayREN and Rising Sun to help develop at-risk youth into the home energy auditors. And they have to be pretty smart. And, in California, we don't participate in the home energy weatherization program from the Department of Energy, but the home auditors also look for health hazards like asbestos and mold and other things that could lead to unhealthy homes, but they're there for energy.
Thank you, Commissioner White, for these additional details. Commissioner Reed, and then Commissioner Alvarez.
Thank you. First, Could we scroll the screen so everybody can see what item we're discussing on the list of proposals? Thank you. Thank you. I'm a really strong supporter of this program. Full disclosure, back in the day, people hear me say this all the time, but when I was a commissioner on the California Energy Commission, I oversaw the development of the first Title 24 standards in the country. And having those standards there was a model that was followed ultimately by other states and the federal government in terms of energy efficiency standards for new residential construction. What was left out of that at the time was how to go back and retrofit existing structures. There's been more efforts by the Energy Commission to address those, but the program not only has real benefits in terms of aligning it with other statewide programs and opportunities, but also it's one of the things that I call a gateway project, and that is that by seeking energy efficiency in this space, that the people become more aware of the opportunities for reducing carbon footprint in other areas of their lives and lifestyles. And I like it for that reason. I also like it because it engages the county in outreach and education with specific information that our residents and ultimately our small businesses and everyone else that has a structure can access in order to increase the efficiency of their buildings and also ultimately their operations. So I think it has multiple co-benefits. I think there's a lot of opportunities to partner with PG&E and other sources of information about rebates that are available, both state and federal, and also with respect to implementation and the job training programs, I think are an important element. In the final structure of how one activates this kind of program, it can serve as a baseline for structuring similar programs in other areas where access to resources, information, checklists, sources of funding, and also job training opportunities are made available and the public is educated about their availability. So I strongly support it and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Alvarez.
Yeah, when I read about this project, my concern was that low-income households would be at a disadvantage for making those improvements unless the incentives or the subsidies are structured in a way that that bridge that. But that is a concern of mine.
Thank you for voicing that concern. Petrea, would you like to react to what you just said?
Yeah, I actually think that's a great, tell me if I'm wrong here, because I might be connecting two things that shouldn't be connected, but it seems like the rebate program and the home energy labeling could be somehow connected, right? So that the people who have to sell their home who are low income are connected with the rebates if they want to improve their house before they sell it. Is that the correct connection?
I think so, and that's the way the program works in the Bay Area right now too. And in fact, the rebates for, if the home energy score comes in and says your score is really low and here are 3 things that you can do, they will tell them not only the rebate programs from the state, from the local, from everybody to help them do that, but many of those rebates are reserved only for income qualified, which I don't know that we're the ones to set. In the Bay Area, it's PG&E who sets the income qualified at 250% of federal poverty rate. Or I think it's Bayron that set it. But what you're talking about right now is setting the level of rebates. That has to go through the Public Utilities Commission. This commission has no ability to do that. If we are giving rebates for energy, the Public Utilities Commission has to have a say about it.
But if we're doing outreach on rebates programs, we could really try and reach out to those households that are selling their homes. Yeah.
Totally can, and connect them with all sorts of things from the state, like the new tech program that's out. There are all sorts of things that we could connect them with.
Thank you, Commissioner White. Commissioner Alvarez, did those comments address your concern to your satisfaction?
Well, devil is in the details. It depends on the way the program is structured. Sometimes just because the funding is there, the assumption that low-income households have access to the information is again, it is an assumption.
And Paleo, I'm not saying we have to do it the way that it's been done already, but there is no requirement that you make the changes. It's like saying, and the way that it's done right now, it's only when a house is put up for sale. So, we have the ability to say how we want this program to roll out, but it actually helps. Think about it the other way. Let's say we have a low-income person who's finally scraped together enough money to buy a home, and they're buying their first home. Don't we want them to be informed about what their energy bill is going to be? We don't want them to look at Zillow and have Zillow say your average energy cost is this, when in fact they're buying something that is terribly energy efficient and it's going to be 3 times that cost. So I think there's a benefit on that side as well.
Thank you, Commissioner White. Commissioner Reed.
Yes, I just want to second what both Commissioner Alvarez and Commissioner White are saying, and that is that we have the capacity to, irrespective of what the eligibility requirements are and who sets them, but we have an opportunity and the ability to target low-income households first. And the fact of the matter is that the low-income households are probably the ones that have the least efficient homes. There are many low-cost measures that can increase the energy efficiency of a home through weather stripping, for instance, or minor repairs, or putting something across the floor in front of a door that's allowing, or reworking the way that the fireplace is handled with the flue. Some of them may be not costing anything at all. So I think having this as a baseline of where we can start and some resources that we can access, we could massage the program to make sure that we are targeting our low income folks and targeting the programs that would not only enable them to retrofit upon sale, but would also assist them to retrofit while they're living in the home and reduce their operating costs as they live there. So I think if I would support it if there's an understanding that we can massage it in a way that it truly benefits our low-income households. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed, for that additional feedback. Petria, I think you were about to say something, unless I'm mistaken.
No, I was just going to ask a question, which was, is there a way to massage the program to address Commissioner Alvarez's concern, other than just exempting them? I mean, that's the one thing that was coming to my mind, but then that doesn't address your concern, Commissioner White, of like, oh, a person who's low income and is buying a home may want to know what the energy costs are. So,
Commissioner Alvarez?
Yeah, and so there's, if another concern is that the program, if it's mandated, then again, an additional cost to all homeowners that who are trying to sell their house, but particularly affecting low-income households, is that is an additional cost, right? They're going to have to do have a home energy audit in order for them to sell the house. If the city or the county covers that cost, then that's fine. But if it's the homeowner, then again, we're adding an additional cost of selling a home to a low-income household. And just a recommendation, perhaps keeping the program as voluntary would address a lot of my concerns.
Commissioner White.
Where it's been put in place so far, it's been a ramp up. It hasn't been like, boom, you have to start doing it today, because it's been a process of making it voluntary, then pushing it into certain neighborhoods or certain places where homes are notoriously energy inefficient. So it is, and you have to get realtors on board. This is a process. So yes, I hear everything that you're saying, and I too do not want to squeeze people out of a home or make them pay for something they can't afford. But I do see a lot of benefits with us being first to put this in that's coming anyway.
Thank you, Commissioner White and Commissioner Alvarez. Commissioner Britton, I do see your hand raised, but we've been in session for 2 hours, so I will ask my fellow commissioners, the staff, everyone in attendance. So let's just take a few seconds to take a deep breath. It's okay. Okay, just a few seconds, one more breath. And let's continue this very important conversation. Commissioner Britton, I believe you would like to say something. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion on this one. I understand better than I did its value, but I haven't really heard anything that directly addresses my initial concern about kinetics, about how fast it would happen, especially if we make it voluntary, well, especially if we make it voluntary, but even if it's a slow ramp up, all of that I think exacerbates my initial concern that this really isn't an early action item. I strongly support doing it. It should be in our plan. But I still think it just seems slow.
So at this point, and I hear what you said, Ken. So one thing I would like to remind us of is that, of course, we're not solving all of the issues. If you're noticing loopholes, we're not aiming to solve all of it and address all of it tonight in terms of finding a solution, and this is how things will move forward. My understanding is that once the staff, if we do whichever proposal we agree on, is going to be further fleshed out by the staff and the consultants. And you know, we will once again, and Taro, correct me if I'm wrong, but have an opportunity to read a more fleshed out recommendation. And then I know it will go to the board will, you know, discuss it and make a decision. So I just, for peace of mind, in regard also to the concerns that were raised tonight. So I would like to ask again, as the commission once again, so of the 7 recommended early action proposals that we have in front of us, is there a proposal a commissioner more feels strongly about in terms of this should not be on this list, this should absolutely be removed? And I also want to acknowledge that, you know, we haven't heard, of course, from everyone, and it's okay if you don't feel like you have anything to share at this time, but please know that the floor is yours as well, and you are more than welcome to share your feedback, sentiment on this topic. So again, the question was, is there anything on this list you feel should be removed? I don't see any hands raised. So with that said, okay, Commissioner Britton.
Didn't we already have a suggestion to remove number 10 because it's going to happen anyway? Did I misunderstand that piece of the conversation?
I think there's only these 7 on the list. So 10's a one that was not recommended as part of the 7.
I did want to say there's also someone there's a member of the public who has their hand raised before we move on.
Yes, I was going to move on to public comment after the commissioners are done expressing their opinion. Thank you, Charlie. So yes, Ken, did I address your question? So we are focusing on the recommended items right now. So the number 10 you mentioned, I believe, was on the overall list that we had. Okay, thank you. So I would like us to move to public comment. After the public comment, we will have a motion, and the motion will be discussed before it's put to vote, and then it'll be voted upon. So member of the public, you have the floor if you like to share a comment. I believe Christine Shoemaker is with us. Would you please, Charlie, would you like to bring Christine in, please. Thank you. And you have about 2 minutes, and this is a very flexible allocated time. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad you recognized my hand because it'd been up for about 15 minutes. So I was happy to get it recognized.
I appreciate your patience.
Yeah. So overall, I'm happy that one of the two proposals that I submitted, which is the electrifying or having all the accounts go up to 100% renewable, is on the list. I think it's not overly expensive. I don't have the exact number that I saw in there. I don't think it's one of the more expensive ones. One of the things that's kind of good about this is it has other impacts. If the Yolo County does this, and a lot of people see that this is happening, perhaps other municipalities within Yolo County would take it upon themselves to do that. And also it just raises the idea that you can do it as an individual. So I think the impact of doing that is high. When I wrote up the proposal, I not only focused on what would be the short term, but thinking long term, if we're going to get to wherever we want to be by 2030, sometime along the line, we're going to have to focus on trying to get all the electricity to 100% renewable. And maybe it's not in the proposal we do now, but I hope the idea of it's not lost. And one of the things you could think about in the sort of the intermediate terms would be ways of helping low-income people, such as the CARE and FARA programs, opting out through some sort of a grant so that they could participate in getting to low emissions. I'm also glad to see overall that all of the 7 are a mix. There's electricity, there's buildings, there's transportation, there's farms. So I think from that perspective, when you look at all 7 of them, that's really good. So I'm happy overall with the mix that I see there. One comment I have on number 1, which is the removing the gas, the natural gas, at least from the buildings. I noted that all electric new buildings is not as high. And I'm thinking that perhaps in the one that's focusing on just the Yolo County operations, that additionally, there could be a sentence in there that says going forward, all new Yolo County buildings would be all electric. I don't think that would necessarily need to go through any state approval. The county could just do it. But having struggled with this myself and spent 9 months going from 100 amp to a 200 amp panel, anything you can do now to not have to do stuff later is good. And my final comment is I agree with some of the discussion on the mandate for the energy audit. And my one comment is, well, maybe instead of mandating it, there's a way to do it, the carrot versus the stick. And I don't know what the carrot could be for getting people to do the home energy audits, but it's just something to consider. Thank you. I hope I kept it under 2 minutes.
You did fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to use my privilege as chair here, Christine, and ask you if you'll please introduce yourself for members of the commission who might not be familiar with your work. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So my name is Christine Shoemaker. I'm a retired plant molecular biologist. I worked at Calgene for 20 years. In the past 10 years or so, I've been very active in climate activism. At one point in time, I was a natural resources director for the Woodland League of Women Voters when we put together our climate petition. At the moment, I'm on the Valley Clean Energy Citizens Advisory Committee. I've been on that since it was the Citizens Advisory Committee was founded. For the first 2.5 years, I was vice chair, and I skipped a year. And this past year, 2021, I was the chair. And I've also, at one point in time, there's a small NGO called Fossil Free California that works to divest pension funds within California from fossil fuel investments. And I was very active in that for a while. I'm not so active anymore, but I'm still involved with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christine, again, for all your valuable feedback and for joining us tonight and for your patience. I was waiting for the commissioners to go through the conversation before welcoming public comment. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Right. So do we have any additional public comment? Members of the public? So I do not see reactions at this time. And Charlie, I can see you might be dying to tell me something.
I was just going to say that I'm not seeing any hands raised either.
Okay, thank you. So commissioners, do you feel ready to make a motion? Please think carefully about how you want it worded, taking in consideration the concerns that were raised. Commissioner Austin?
Yeah, I'm for those of you excited about making a motion, I'm not going to step on those toes. I just wanted to chime in. I didn't actually speak up too much. I think that there was a really great, robust discussion. Didn't feel like I needed to add any additional discussion to that. But I'll also note, one, just having the diversity of expertise on this commission has been incredibly valuable. And I'll just acknowledge Commissioner White, particularly because I think that some of the insights that you've provided have really provided some rich context to the discussion that we've been having. And then I'll also just note a couple of things for whoever decides to make the motion. I think it would be really important for us as we make these motions. These are not done deals. I just want to highlight that we are going to be, there have been notes taken, and we will be able to direct staff as part of our motion to factor in some of the issues and concerns that have been raised and come forward with fleshed out proposals for us to review again.
I really appreciate you emphasizing that, Commissioner Austin. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry,
yes, Charlie.
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure, just as a procedural item, I think there was a motion on the table by Commissioner Kim at some point.
Yes.
And but obviously the conversation lends itself to make modifications to the motion. And so I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Yes, thank you, Charlie. Taro, sorry, I had not forgotten that. So what I had suggested was that we make a motion first on the recommended item by the staff, and then there will be a second motion regarding Commissioner Kim's item. And basically what he had already said, which was for that item to be added to a future agenda, can be discussed by the commission, if that's okay. Commissioner Reed?
Yes, I actually had a different approach in mind. And what I would do is ask if Commissioner Kim would withdraw his motion, which did not have a second, and offer this as a substitute motion, which is that I would move that the commission approve the list of 7 as provided to move forward for further analysis and detail. And that within that list, they re-examine the energy, home energy audit mandate to analyze the opportunities to direct that program to prioritize benefits to low-income consumers and enabling them to make and afford modifications while they reside in the home and at the time that they decide to sell. And I would also include in that motion that the staff examine the KPay program in accordance with the recommendations and comments that were made by Supervisor Saylor regarding if there's any opportunity to expedite funding of that modification of the current construction project so that it does not delay and run up the cost of the modification, and if that opportunity exists within the county's existing contract on that project.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. I will ask you to please hold on to that thought, because you basically gave us a very detailed, full, extensive motion. And Commissioner Britton, you have the floor. And after you speak, unless commissioners have more to add, I would suggest that we proceed with a motion as suggested by one of the commissioners, possibly Commissioner Reed. Yes, Commissioner Britton, and then Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be uphill here, but it seems there's a process point that is symmetrical with the one that we've been doing, which is, do we see any of the items that have not been listed that perhaps we feel are underrated and could perhaps be elevated to getting further review from the county. And I have two particular ideas and a revision of one of the counties that actually Petrea suggested. If we can fold something that wasn't included into one that is included, that would be a benefit. And I have a specific suggestion for another, which I think was underrated. But I won't do any of that because I know we're running late, unless we actually want to take that up as a commission, or whether we're just going to proceed with deletions and no additions.
Right. My motion has not been seconded, but Commissioner Britton, if you'd like to offer to amend my motion to include additional staff analysis of the project of your interest, I'd be happy to entertain that in my motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Reid. And Commissioner Britton, I was going to ask you to please name the two items that you had in mind, at least so that we all be aware of them.
Certainly, happy to. The first one is, it seems like there's a synergy between the carbon farms proposal, which was on the list, which I like a lot, and soil carbon sequestration, which I think is quite a ways down the list. I think it was it's called that. That's its title. Make sure I get the number right.
Number 12.
Yeah,
that one is already combined in the staff recommendation.
Okay, fabulous, great. I will go on from there then. And the other one that I'm partial to, that I think was underrated, was the essential electric bikes, which was it's again, they got that title. I can find it in a second, but it was quite restricted, and it strikes me as if it were broadened a little bit, it would rise in its ratings quite a bit, because it was just essential workers who were in unincorporated Yolo County. And it strikes me that this is a relatively high bang for the buck kind of proposal if we make it more general, so that we get people out of their vehicles on a bigger radius, maybe essential workers, including those in incorporated areas of the county, or maybe even some who are not essential workers at all could get help with purchasing electric bikes, which I think are a very high result kind of electrification.
So on that one of the eligibility criteria, Taro, you can correct me if you want to go a different direction here, but the reason why it's targeted to unincorporated is because while the climate action plan can work on building partnerships with the cities, and that's been a topic of discussion at previous commission meetings, is not wanting to limit us just to the unincorporated area. Early actions are supposed to be actions that the county can implement and that are focused on the unincorporated area. So we did have a criteria that if it was, going to, provide an example that would transcend our work in the unincorporated area, that, you would get extra points, but we did want to focus on unincorporated area projects. And since we have so few people in the unincorporated area, that's why that one didn't rank very high, which you pointed out.
Thank you, Petrea. Commissioner Morgan, I believe you were next, and then Commissioner Reid, and Commissioner Kim seems to have lowered his hands. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention that I believe it was part of the discussion earlier that in the motion, when we're referring to the Cape Valley Resiliency Project, to also state something about how the listed price might change. And I don't remember exactly what was said, but I do remember that comment coming up. So I just want to make sure that's captured in whatever motion goes ahead. So thank you.
Thank you. I believe Commissioner Kim had raised that point, and Supervisor Saylor addressed and talked to Taro, made a suggestion to Taro. Commissioner Alvarez.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is even feasible. For project number 5, the carbon farming partnership, I do have a suggestion which actually would go to the project proponents because of my knowledge of their work. The Yolo Resource Conservation District has completed, as far as I know, 2 carbon fund plans within Yolo County that could be implemented. So I know that the project focuses on writing additional carbon farm plans with other farmers, but they have existing carbon farm plans that could be implemented, which could have direct measurable greenhouse gas reductions. So I was going to suggest that they would add that to the project, is implement at least partially some of those carbon farm plants who have particularly specific conservation practices that could be implemented within those carbon farm plants that again would result in measurable greenhouse gas reductions.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Alvarez. So this is noted. Commissioner Reed.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge Commissioner Morgan's statement, and that is that understanding that, and specifically articulating it, understanding that if delayed, the KPay project cost could increase. My motion also includes having the staff analyze if there's any expedited way in which the project could be funded sooner rather than later, both to assist with planning and execution of the project and avoiding any additional costs.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Kim.
Yes, I would like to withdraw my original motion and am supportive of the direction, the motion and the ideas from Commissioner Reed. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, this has been very deep. Are the commissioners ready to make a motion? And if the answer is yes, I think I will ask Commissioner
Madam
Reed. Yes, Taro. And I was going yes to turn to you, see if you have a reaction too.
Thank you. One thing I just wanted to clarify, the suggestion by Supervisor Saylor for us to look up, that is going to happen. It really doesn't need to be part of the motion. It can stay there. But I've already made that note, and I will be talking to the county administrator to see if that could be advanced within the, as Supervisor Saylor suggested, within the budget, I guess, that the county has already allocated for that project. So that is going to happen one way or another. And I just wanted to make sure that that was noted, and I've communicated with Commissioner Kim with respect to what that potential increase might look like, so that we have bookends, so to speak, when I speak with county finance staff.
Thank you very much, Taro. Okay, that's great. Before we make a motion, Petria, first I would like to thank you again for this excellent presentation you gave us. Thank you for the overview. Thank you for the details. Thank you to all the staff as well, and all the consultants who were part of this effort. We really appreciate your work. Fellow commissioners, I have chills because I think that we work wonderfully together, and I thank you all for your input. At this point, are we, Commissioner Kim, there is something you want to add?
I just wanted to see if, I know we've had a robust discussion, like you said, it was fantastic. I know both from today and from prior commission meetings, we haven't been able to hear from Matt from UC Davis. Just wanted to see if Matt Dolce had any thoughts or anything he wanted to share as well.
That's a great offer. Thank you. I didn't have anything on this item to add, but I appreciate the opportunity. And as Supervisor Saylor knows, I often will follow along and then jump in when there's something I have to say. And in terms of my role as ex officio member, please remember, if there's items I can work on, that's great, or just general questions back to UC Davis, and a question about a position or a resource or a particular faculty member, that's another role that I could play in this commission, is being able to go get information or help out with some of the resource that might be available from UC Davis. So thank you, Commissioner Kim, but nothing to add on this point.
Thank you very much, Matt. Taro.
My apologies, forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, so I think we are ready to make a motion. So this is what will happen. With your permission, I will ask Commissioner Reed to make the first motion. If you, Commissioner Reed, this is a okay with you, there's going to be a second, but after the second, I will ask all commissioners if there is a conflict of interest in you voting for a project that you move forward. I do not know what the procedure is about that, but I do want to acknowledge that and then hear about how we proceed. And after that has been cleared up, then we'll vote. How does that sound to everyone?
Oh, that sounds fine to me. I think the only comment sorry, the mail is here. Let me get her. Hold on.
So what Commissioner Reed is.
Yeah, sorry, no, I'm here.
No, you're good.
This is Daisy. Hello. So Commissioner Britton raised the issue on the EV bicycles, and I'm wondering if in addition to what I've already said in my motion, just including some additional wording on the bicycles being included in a ZEB master plan might be appropriate to continue to address that issue, even though as a standalone, it doesn't meet the same criteria as some of the other motions. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and try to be as clear and unwordy as possible. But
Commissioner Reed, give us a second. Yeah, thank you very much. Two things very quickly, actually three. It's 6:29. So we're going to go over a little bit. I don't think it's going to take us more than 10 minutes to conclude our meeting because we're almost at the end of our agenda items. So I hope it's okay with you. I'm going to move this conversation forward. And also Commissioner Ullman would like to add something. Petrea, when Commissioner Reed talk about the electric bikes, I saw you shake your head. So if there is something you wanted to say, now will be the perfect time. Okay, Commissioner Ullman, you have the floor. Thank you.
Yes, I'll be very quick. I would say that due to the fact that there are some conditional items reflected in this, are going to be needed in this motion, that if possible, if there's a way to record this in writing so that the commissioners can see exactly what the motion encompasses. And I don't know if that's even possible. If not, then
thank you for this. Thank you for this suggestion. I believe we could, this is what I suggest. Charlie, if it's okay with you, Commissioner Reed will go at a slow enough pace. I was wondering if you will agree to share, to open a blank Word document, share your screen and type as Commissioner Reed is making the motion. Is that possible?
I think that's a great idea, as long as you guys forgive any spelling mistakes I do in real time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your flexibility. And as a reminder, of course, this meeting is recorded. So the conversation was very deep. Again, lots of information. So we all have the opportunity to go back and listen again and come to the next meeting with additional input. So Charlie, whenever you're ready, I think Commissioner Reed will be ready to go as well.
Okay. Ready to go?
Yep. Sorry about that.
I move adoption of the list of projects as proposed by staff. And inclusion in next month's report back to the commission, an analysis and possible inclusion of the proposal to increase Carl Moyer funding, and update on the opportunity to expedite funding of the KPay project and the possibility of incorporating electric bicycle access almost.
Dang it.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. Keep going. Electric bicycle access for farm workers and rural residents into a master ZEV plan, or put in instead of a master plan, the master ZEV plan proposal. And in addition, you can start a new sentence. In addition, I move that we ask the staff to analyze opportunities for focusing home energy audit and efficiency score project to assist low-income residents to afford energy efficient modifications while they live in their homes or upon sale.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reed. Charlie, I would like to suggest two small modifications to this motion. Number one, list of projects. So I'm going to read what I suggest. I move adoption to the list of recommended early action proposals as proposed by staff. I would like the title as it was on the agenda items.
Yes, I accept that.
Thank you. List of recommended early action
Project West.
proposals. Thank you. And then the second, whenever you're ready. Yes. And then the second modification and the possibility, this is line 4, and the possibility of incorporating essential electric bikes, the essential electric bikes project. I just want the name of the project as it was submitted, if it's okay. Thank you.
I accept that. Thank you.
Essential electric bikes project. Okay. So thank you very much, Commissioner Reed. Yes, Commissioner Kim.
Yes, one request, a point that we just mentioned earlier, which is for the KPay project, if we could say expedite funding of the KPay project, noting a potential cost increase from the original proposal submitted, which we will have presented at the next meeting. Okay, sorry, that was long. I will trust Charlie.
I see where you're going. Wait a minute. Farm already funding an update. Yeah.
Can you try and restate that again? I was trying to find where to start edits when you were going through that.
Commissioner Kim, would you actually read the motion from the beginning and then insert one on Charlie and insert the suggestion you made? Let's start from the top if it's okay.
Okay.
I may be able to help a little bit.
Yeah,
Charlie,
thank you.
You have the cursor in the right place.
Yes.
Right, and right there it says project, noting a potential increase in project cost. I don't think we need to mention that it's from, because it's understood that it's increased from what we had already seen.
I accept that.
Thank you. So it's noting a potential increase there to, yeah, I did words. Okay. So I think we can all write the next great American novel. This is great.
I'd like to commend Charlie for his bravery and his typing skills.
Charlie, thank you very much. Okay, Commissioner Reed, I have one last question for you. Can you read the screen? Is it clear enough?
Yes, I can read it.
Okay, would you mind please just now reading the motion and then someone will second it? I believe that we have the final wording.
Okay, thank you. I move adoption of the list of recommended early action proposals. Do we need the as proposed? Why don't we say, instead of proposals, say items?
Yeah, items is good.
Okay. As proposed by staff and inclusion in the next month's report back to the YCCAC, comma, an analysis and possible inclusion of the proposal to increase Carl Moyer funding and an update on the opportunity to expedite funding of the KPay project, noting the potential increase in project costs. Why don't you take out after Carl Moyer, gosh, that one's hard to say, after Carl Moyer funding, put a comma after funding, take out and, update, and then put an up, in front of update, put an update, and after funding, comma, there you go. Keep going right, there you go, stop, and, no, and, right there, click it in. No, just an, A-N.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. An update on the opportunity to expedite funding of the KPay project, noting the potential increase in the project cost, comma after cost, and the possibility of incorporating essential electric bicycle access for farm workers and the rural residents into the master ZEV plan proposal period. In addition, comma after addition, I move that we ask the staff to analyze opportunities for focusing home energy audit and efficiency score project. So that would be focusing the home. There you almost, there you go. The home energy audit and efficiency score project to assist low-income residents to afford energy efficient modifications while they live in their homes or upon sale. Does anybody want me to read it again as edited?
For me, I think it was clear.
Okay.
Commissioner, thank you, Commissioner Reid. Commissioner Ullman?
Yes, in line 2, the word article "the" should precede the word "next." You see what I mean?
Yep.
And remove the other "the" following "next." There we go.
Ah, I accept that. Thank you for fixing it.
Thank you, Commissioner Ullman. Do we have a second for this motion? Commissioner Ullman, are you okay? Your hand is raised, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm happy to second it if you're looking for a second.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. So is there any objection to the motion as stated? Any further comments from the commissioners? We have, yes, Commissioner Kim.
I think you also mentioned, Chairwoman, about potential conflicts and being abstaining and or recusing. And I believe I have been involved in many of these projects, so I may have to recuse myself at this point.
Thank you. So before I have I want to hear Commissioner White and Taro, but at this point, I'm wondering if it's even necessary for commissioners to recuse themselves because you're not voting on one particular item. So it's not as if you're only pushing your recommended proposal forth. So this is a list that has several proposals. Taro, I would like to consult with you briefly if you think it will be okay for all commissioners to be allowed to vote on this.
I believe they can all vote,
Okay.
Madam Chair, because again, this is not the final decision. This is just a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and the final decision rests with them. So
thank you very much. I totally support moving forward in that direction. Before we place this to a vote, put this to a vote, we have one member of the public. Member of the public, do you have a comment you'd like to share with us? It seems that's a no. Yes. Okay. So I believe that we are now ready to vote on this motion. So Commissioner Reid, how do you vote?
Excuse me, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Dattel.
Aye.
Commissioner Ullman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kim.
Aye.
Commissioner Serena.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Austin.
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett.
Aye.
Commissioner Britton.
Aye.
And I vote aye. This motion passes unanimously. Congratulations again, all commissioners and the staff on working very hard on this agenda item. Okay, so we are almost at the end of this meeting. We are going to hear an update about the ad hoc working group for the climate action plan scope of work by Michael McCormick. I would like to remind our commissioners that the ad hoc working group has not met yet because as a commission, we had decided that we wanted first to welcome our two newest commissioners, see if they might be interested in joining the working group, and then that group will get started. So Michael, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Michael McCormick. Really briefly, we have our first meeting coming up on March 17th. It has been, I believe, scheduled at this point, Charlie. If we've got confirmation, thumbs up from Charlie. We're developing a great presentation on some of the history of climate action planning in Yolo County for the subgroup, and also some preliminary outcomes of the interviews on best practices for climate action planning across California and beyond to help inform the discussion and the development of the scope of work for the climate action adaptation plan. So at this point, I don't have much more to add than that, than beyond the brief presentation we had at the last meeting. Really looking forward to rolling up sleeves with the commissioners and coming back to the larger commission with some recommended steps for the climate action adaptation plan scope of work.
Thank you very much, Michael. I would like especially to ask Commissioner Britton and Commissioner Bennett if you have any questions regarding the ad hoc working group, because you were not there during our previous meetings when we discussed it. And Commissioner Morgan also would like the floor. Commissioner Morgan, if it's okay, I'll have Commissioner Britton answer first.
No, I have no questions. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If there's anything you think that's counterintuitive or not obvious, please drop it in now, but
Okay.
it seems clear enough.
Thank you. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick. I know we're running late. I just had a question for Mr. McCormick. The overview intro of climate action plans and best practices, is that something that would be available to the entire group and not just the subgroup at some point?
We could certainly share it with the larger commission. The intent was to have a more accelerated discussion at a full commission meeting for both history and approach, and that the scope of work working group would really be much more engaged in the details. So yep, happy to share the overall presentation and bring that forward as well in maybe a more consolidated format.
Okay, thank you, Michael, for that additional detail. Would you mind just reminding us the names of the commissioners who are part of the ad hoc working group, and then we'll move on to the next agenda item.
I'm going to have, looks like Charlie's queuing up to share that information with us, which is great.
Thank you.
Yep, saw the look on my face as I went to where that meeting is. Bear with me while I pull up the list here. Off the top of my head, if I recall, it was Commissioner Kim, Dattel, White, and Alvarez, and then that we left it open for the fifth member to be one of the new commissioners. I'm going to confirm that.
That's correct, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this time, one last question. The ad hoc working group, is the final group formation, or do we have any commissioner who would like to the last spot on it? And you don't have to, it can function already as is, but we said we will, ask one last time. So I do not see any reaction. Okay. Thank you very much, Michael, for this update. Now I'm turning to members of the public. Do you have a comment you would like to share with the commission? Okay, no public comment at this time. So agenda item number 11, do we have, this is mainly for the commissioners. Is there any report, comments? Future agenda item you'd like to see discussed next month? And keeping in mind that Charlie, about a week before the next meeting, will send a draft of an agenda, which you'll be able to react to as well.
I'd also add that in time between the next meetings that I send out the update in between the meetings. So if you have anything that comes up between now and then, plan to send out the next update. I believe March 14th would be about 2 weeks from now and 2 weeks from the next meeting.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Commissioner Reed?
Yes, I wondered if you could show the long-term calendar from our packet, long-range calendar.
I'll pull that up and share my screen shortly.
Thank you. And my question was regarding, we had a discussion of a baseline sort of informational, possibly workshop to acquaint all of us with the prior climate action plan, the sustainability plan, and any other relevant activities that are from which we are moving forward to the development of a new plan and adaptation plan. Is there an update on that?
Thank you, Commissioner Reed, for asking that question. So all that I can share at this time is that we still plan on moving on that. So there is not a workshop date at this time, but I'm hoping, I'm working with the staff, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to make it happen sooner rather than later. So I don't want to give a date at this time. And Taro, yes, you want to say something?
Sorry, yeah, we did put a placeholder in your long-range calendar. You see that, the presentation of climate action efforts in Yolo County. I think that's what that was about. And we also were wanting to fold also this recommendation to endorse Climate Safe California, which also came up during conversations. And so it's tentatively in March, but again, it's one of those things that as we see things popping up, it may move, but it's there. It's there.
Okay, when you say it, what is it? Is it a workshop or is it a presentation at a commission meeting?
Well, we have it as a presentation. If you would like it to be a workshop, let us know. We can amend that to be a workshop format. It's really up to the commission.
So I don't want to start a conversation on this right now. Perhaps we could take the presentation and then decide if we need a workshop to allow more extensive discussion and understanding of the documents and their relevance to the future plan.
I think that would be great. Yeah.
Yes, I support that as well. Okay, so you are all looking at the long-range calendar, which gives you an idea of what will be discussed at the next meeting. Commissioner Reed, you have your hand raised. I don't know if you want to add something. No? Okay. So this item is just for us to acknowledge there is nothing to discuss. And I have good news for you. It's dinner time. You're all relieved of your functions, but Commissioner Britton has his hand raised. Yes, Commissioner Britton.
Yeah, sorry, the loud mouth again.
Okay.
I just had one suggestion for the long range plan, and it goes back to our discussion about from Taro's staff recommendation about a charter amendment. And there was, in the background, it was suggested that we work with the county supervisors, clarification, sort of basically structure of how we're going to work with the with planning efforts in climate impacts thereof. And it has been placed on our long-term calendar. It's suggested for September, but I saw there were a couple of gaps in July and August that don't have an object there. So maybe we could accelerate that, push it up a couple of meetings so that we can talk about how this commission could interact with county planning at an earlier date. Just an idea.
Taro?
Yeah, and thank you, Commissioner Britton. That's exactly, that was exactly our thought as well. We put that item out in September. We know that there's a lot of work that's going to happen between now and then, but you're absolutely right. I think that if those slots for June, July, August don't get filled up with very climate action specific things, we would move that discussion up.
Thank you, Taro. Commissioner Reed?
Sorry, yes, and I had raised in the last meeting, but at some future commission agenda, I'd like to discuss the role of the commission in advocacy overall with respect to pending state and federal and regional agency activities.
Thank you. I'm silent because I'm writing down what you just said. Okay, it's noted. Is there any additional comment, reactions before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, I think we are all ready to go and enjoy our dinner. So everyone, again, really good work tonight. Thank you all for participating. The meeting is officially adjourned. I hope you all have a fantastic, really good evening and really good week. I want to thank you all again for the work you're doing for our community, in the community, and for being in community. So until next time, Taro, we thank you. Charlie, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for all your emails. I know that there is more coming. Commissioner White, I want to thank you. You said you will follow up and share some of the resources that you mentioned in your feedback. So we look forward to that. And again, good job, everyone. Hope you have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you, NJ. You did a great job here tonight.
I'm in good company. You all make it very easy and you're very gracious. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
you.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.